Well, hello and welcome everyone to this epic webinar that we have had a huge response to this. In fact, more people have registered for this webinar than the webinar system can actually handle. So for those of you who are hearing me now live, congratulations, you're in. And before I do any formal introductions, I'll say hello. Here's Tanya Titman of Consolid8. Thanks for joining us today, Tanya.
My pleasure.
And congratulations to you on your win announced just a week ago of Xero Partner of the Year for Australia in the accounting area.
Yeah, thank you. No, really, really honoured to get the award, so it's very exciting.
And as we'll hear today, it didn't happen by accident, did it? Now, what I'll do just before Rebecca from Consolid8 is also joining us, we'll just see, I'll just check if everyone can hear us okay. We'll do a quick AV. You're obviously hearing me all right, Tanya?
Yes.
So I will just put a couple of things up here so we can keep an eye on questions as they come. And we're going to run a few polls as well. Now, before we officially get underway, if you can hear me okay, guys, on your screen is the ability to click raise hand in the top left-hand corner. So to some of you, might be a bit new. Wow, that's quick. Matt, Nardi, Josie, Isabel, Marissa, holy cow, my screen is just filled up. So that's good. That means you are hearing me. Now, I have a webinar co-pilot with me today, Isabel, on our team. Isabel, now Unsworth, married name. Those of you who know Isabel, used to live in the Philippines, now lives in sunny Queensland. Very exciting. Now, Isabel is going to keep an eye on the questions today. So you'll see the Q&A button in the top left-hand corner. I keep looking over to another computer that's showing me what you're seeing. So you can click Q&A, and we are going to have a proper, full-on, in-depth Q&A at the end. So ask anything you like. The other day I asked Tanya and Rebecca, are there any questions that are off limits? And they said, no, ask us anything. So get those coming through, and we'll line those up for later today at the end of the session. So the format today, we're just going to have a chat and share the story. I'm then going to share some things that we can help you with at Paradox, and then we'll roll into the Q&A. So I'll just go back and we'll officially get underway now that we know everyone can hear us, which is always a good thing. All right, well, thanks everyone for joining us today for the webinar where I, Michael Carter, or I'm known by many as MC, I'm the founder of Practice Paradox. I have the pleasure of interviewing Tanya Titman, the Managing Director, and also Rebecca White, the Business Development Manager of Consolid8. Now, Consolid8 are a Brisbane-based firm, but they operate nationally and even beyond. And just a week ago now, last Friday night, they were awarded the Xero Accounting Partner of the Year at XeroCon South, which was held in Brisbane, which was incredibly exciting on lots of levels, because anyone who's achieved great things in business knows that things like that don't happen by accident. So today we're going to share with you what Consolid8 were doing with their marketing before working with Paradox and what they've done differently in the last year or so. And there'll be some very specific takeaways from today. But first, a quick bit of background on Consolid8. Consolid8 have been going now for 8 years. They have 20 staff. They have, wait for it, an on-site childcare facility for staff and client use. And they have 3 divisions: tax and advisory, management accounting, and business mentoring. And that's the typical sort of firms we work with that do the advisory work, particularly around business. And Tanya's also a member of the Inner Circle, otherwise known as the Xero Advisory Board, and has been since 2014. And Tanya, you're heavily involved with the CPA as well, presenting CPA residential. So I don't know what you do in your spare time. So to introduce Rebecca, if Rebecca would like to come on out on webcam view. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, MC.
Great to see you again. Now, warning everyone, Rebecca is not an accountant. Oh dear. So Rebecca's background is in PR, public relations and marketing, and has, prior to joining the Consolid8 team, run her own PR company. So extremely marketing savvy before diving boots and all into the world of marketing for accountants within Consolid8. So one of the roles that Rebecca sees at Consolid8 is she's the voice of the business owner, the small business client, out there. And Rebecca, you've been working really closely with us and are driving a lot of the initiatives, the SEO, the content marketing, some examples we'll share today, within Consolid8. I have noticed that Tanya is excellent at delegation and leadership and empowering. She does not micromanage. So there's a takeaway for us all straight away. Now, one of the cool things about Consolid8 is before they came to Paradox to assist with their marketing, they were already doing things that most firms do not do. They'd invested really heavily in graphic design. In fact, they have a graphic designer on staff. So that's pretty rare for an accounting firm, particularly a firm of 20 people. And they involve their team. Rebecca leads the charge, getting their team, the young team in particular, to contribute to the social media content. So that's a bit of background for everyone. And over to you, Tanya. First question for you. Share the story about, we had a conversation around about a year ago, and you're aware of us. What triggered that? And oops, we better not play that song again. And just share with everyone, what triggered you wanting to really step it up with your marketing?
Yeah, I guess, so we've been on the Xero journey since 2012. We have been investing fairly heavily in marketing, and having Rebecca on the team, having our graphic designer on the team, was a fairly big investment. And I guess we were getting a little bit frustrated that we weren't getting any recognition, and had walked away from the previous year's XeroCon thinking, gosh, we're doing so much and we're investing so much in this. Why aren't we even getting finalists? Why aren't we winning any awards? When we really wanted to, I guess, be recognised for everything that we were doing, and we thought we were doing a lot. So I took a look around who was winning the awards, and to me there was a common denominator, and that was you. And so I guess I then I think it was the day after XeroCon, I put the call out to MC and said, okay, I give up. There's obviously something that we're not doing here. Really keen to have a chat about how we could work with you, because it wasn't an ego-driven thing to want to win this award. It was the fact that my team was putting so much effort in, and we were all so invested in that Xero journey. And this was something that we really wanted to achieve for the whole team. So so that's sort of where it started. And I guess, it didn't happen by accident. It was quite strategic in terms of, I looked around and thought, there's some amazing firms here. What are they doing? And what is it that we're not doing? And I guess we didn't know what we didn't know. And we were on a journey to go, well, let's try something different, because what we're doing isn't working.
I had a look in our CRM the other day at that note on the phone call, because I just wanted to check when it was. And I saw the date, and then I Googled what was the dates last year of XeroCon in Melbourne. And yeah, it was the day after you called us and said, what you just said there, you got to a point where you realized you didn't know what you didn't know about marketing. And I think that's a key takeaway for all of us, is nothing changes until we get to that point where we go, okay, I acknowledge there's a gap here. And, if you look at Consolid8's website, and it's spelt, as you can see on Tanya's webcam view, Consolid and then the number 8. You guys were already far above most firms in most aspects of your marketing. And a quick takeaway for everyone on how to be a remarkable firm and really stand out from the rest, even other progressive firms, is you need to tick 3 boxes. You need to look great, you need to sound great, and you need to be great. So look great, your branding, you need to invest in design, and you guys are already doing that to the hilt and doing it really well. And even your sound great, a lot of your messaging was good, but what we discovered working together is that there were some missing points around the focus and, I suppose, the tech savviness and the strategy around the content. Maybe, Rebecca, do you want to share what your insights on maybe what was some of the missing links there?
Yeah, so we have done 2 masterclasses with MC now. And I think I came back from the first one back to the office and said, oh my God, Tanya, there's so many things that we need to do. Because do this and this and this and this. And it's a little bit like Tanya's lessons from XeroCon. If just the principal of the firm goes and they come back and they're enthusiastic, it's really hard to excite everybody else. So for the second masterclass, I dragged Tanya along, and that was really fantastic. But I think what we were doing is, yes, we had a fantastic website, but I understood about this SEO stuff and but I didn't really understand how powerful it can be. So one thing to have a great website, but if nobody can find your website, what's the point? So we've really invested heavily in firstly educating ourselves about SEO, but also in an external SEO company to kind of make sure that we are being found around the right keywords. So firstly, what are the right keywords? That's a whole different question unto itself. And that brought me back to the first lessons from the first masterclass, which was really understanding who we were talking to in the marketplace, what was our ideal client, and how do we then get those guys to come to our website.
And for those of you not familiar, Masterclass are our marketing masterclasses, 2-day workshops that we run from time to time at Paradox. And Rebecca, you mentioned you came to the first one on your own, and I recall the topic of that masterclass was around marketing automation. Yeah. And then you dragged Tanya along to the next one you came to, and that was on blogging. And one of your philosophies, Tanya, you want to share your philosophy around going to events and that team involvement, as we can see on screen there.
Yeah, look, for me, and it was right from the first XeroCon I attended, I came back with all this excitement and you know, and it is, you've got to really experience it. So for Rebecca to get me on board and understanding, you know, what it is she was trying to achieve, I think she felt it was really necessary to get me to attend that seminar. So even though Rebecca is the one that implements and does a lot of the strategies, for me to get a greater understanding of what it was about and what we were trying to achieve was really good. She got me on side and then we could actually get the strategies out a lot faster. And I think, you know, key for me too, and this is another thing I think that we've learned is that, you know, often when you do have people of a non-professional, you know, skills on the team in terms of non-accounting staff. So having Rebecca there on the team, it was about also investing in her professional development and learning. And that's something that I had missed. So, you know, up until that point, I really hadn't done anything as far as giving Rebecca any, you know, professional development or any learning in her specific area. And so that was, I think that was a big change that we made, and just the results that we got through educating Rebecca and challenging her and giving her more information, that's given us so much more momentum.
So that's a really good point. So you were focusing on professional development as you have to for technical staff, but non-chargeable staff, that hadn't really been factored in until last year.
Little bits, but I thought, oh, Rebecca knows what she's doing. She's great, you know, she's got so much experience. But I think, you know, there's always more you can learn. And that's, you know, if there's something there that the team shows an interest in, then, you know, we're always happy to invest in it. So.
The pace of change now is really, really crazy. And if you just look at social media and what's changed in the last 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, keeping up to speed with all of the things that are changing in our industry, it's critical to maintain your professional development and to keep up to speed, to keep ahead of the curve.
Yeah, we find being specialists in marketing for accountants that virtually every month something changes, but certainly from year to year, the sands shift quite a lot. So a tip for anyone, if you are coming to any of our masterclasses, is make sure that you bring a combination of what we call the golden triangle. So with marketing, don't think, such and such can handle the marketing. As a principal of the firm, you've got to keep your hands on the tiller, you know, steering the ship. Plenty of other people can put their oars in the water, including staff you've got and outsource providers like us. But that's why we basically give our Modern Marketing Academy away. We give it to people with our compliments when they're doing the blogging and the SEO with this, because without that framework around what is a modern marketing machine, you can't really direct internal or external providers. So just a take home for everyone, avoid, I call it stick-on marketing. And the analogy there is, you know, putting a bumper sticker on your car saying that you're affiliated with some sort of group or belief. The sticker doesn't change anything. And with marketing, you can't abdicate it. You need to understand strategy, because marketing strategy and business strategy are actually answering the same questions. Who is our target audience? What are we providing to them? What's our value proposition? How are we communicating? That is business strategy. That is marketing. So make sure you involve the leadership of the firm, the advisory staff, So this is the second point in the golden triangle. Anyone who has FaceTime with your clients needs to be on board with your whole marketing message. Otherwise, there'll be a disconnect. If someone comes along your conveyor belt, we call it, reading your blog posts, and like you guys are doing Consolid8 now, doing your videos on YouTube and doing events, and then they meet with someone who doesn't talk that same language and isn't sharing the same framework, they'll think they're in the wrong place. And lastly, the third part is the support team in a firm can contribute so much value at the keyboard level. There's plenty of marketing that just needs to get done that is not strategic and is not people skills. It's data, it's techie. So Rebecca, do you want to share what you guys do around resourcing your marketing inside the firm and outside?
Yeah, I just want to touch on that, bringing the whole team along on the journey. So Tanya and I were reflecting on what are we doing differently now. And one of the things is I think I've now got engagement from the principal, middle management, right down to our receptionist. And we saw that in action half an hour ago when we brought the whole team together and we talked about XeroCon, and everybody's saying, oh, so when we went to XeroCon, we were walking billboard advertisements for Consolid8. We were all in green t-shirts. We had our hashtag accountants with personality. And I think for the first time, the team really understood how powerful marketing can be. With Tanya's direction, I implement, but I don't implement on my own. I have so our amazing graphic designer, and then members of the team who also assist with social media. But I've done training with our receptionist to be the first port of call when a new lead comes through or a client walks in the door. What do we say to them? What do we greet them? What are the key questions that we want to ask them in a conversational kind of a way, instead of I just need to get this off my list. Yeah. How did you hear about her? So we've really worked with the whole team, because it's pretty, first it's unusual for an accounting firm to actually have an internal marketing and a graphic designer. So there's a big investment from Tanya from that point of view. But we can only do so much. So if everybody's on board with the concept, we're getting much more powerful results.
And those meetings happen on a weekly basis. So we have a Friday morning meeting with all of the team. And at that meeting every week, Rebecca gives everyone update, training, tips. So we're constantly reinforcing the messaging and, working with the team and keeping them in the loop with what's happening. So it's just, I think that consistency really, really helps to get momentum.
And later on today, we'll share with everyone your cadence, your pattern around strategic and marketing and overall business planning as well. So I love the discipline and the rigor you have around that. But everyone might be wondering what's on screen right now. That's a little out there. Shed a bit of light on who Esby is.
Esby, yeah. So actually, I won Esby at an accounting conference and down in Sydney, and had to bring him home via the cargo on the plane. He was at home for a little while, but then ended up getting booted out and came into the office. And one of our team adopted him as Esby, so he's the emotional support bear is what Esby stands for. Beyond that, we did a bit of an innovation project last year and an innovation challenge. And what came out of that is our amazing graphic designer just came to me and said, this little project that I've been working on the side and just wanted to show you. And so effectively, she's programmed our own bot. It's called Esby, obviously. And so in Slack Messenger, which is our internal communication tool, he will auto-respond. So she's coded him in. He is for well-being, but also for processes. So if you want to ask Esby, where to find something in the practice, whether it be a system or a process, you can ask him, and he will tell you where to go to find policies. So you can see on screen there, policies in relation to HR. You can ask him things like who's on the morning tea roster for next week, and he'll tell you, who's on morning tea. You can ask him to tell you a joke. You can say to him, look, I'm really tired today, and he'll give you tips to energize yourself. So it deals with, also that sort of mental well-being. If you're tired, you have a headache, he'll give you tips for how to fix it. So it's just this whole initiative that came out of our innovation project, which is around wellness. And so we're really big on culture here in the business, and wellness is a big part of it. And Esby is just this incredible thing that came out of nowhere. and it's what happens when you empower your team. So when you give the team that, I guess, the ability to take time out and create and come up with innovative things, you get stuff like this, which I never even imagined. And we just love it.
And I love what this represents. The fact that you have a structured innovation program and you take time out of the business to work on coming up with innovative ideas. Do you just share with everyone, what is your innovation program?
So we actually, it came out of, we did a people and culture survey within our team, and this was done late last year, and I was actually ready to sit back and bask in the glory of how great this report was going to come out. And I asked the team to be really open and honest. There were some really tough questions in there. And when I got the report, this is all generated. So this is something that we generated ourselves. We now run it for our clients as a product. But when we did it for ourselves and I got the report, I was a little bit surprised with some of the results. And one of the things that came out of it was productivity was turning us into robots. So they didn't, the traditional measures that we use in accounting around productivity, they felt was, causing them to focus on their work, and we were doing great with our productivity targets, but they weren't able to take time out to help a team member to train or to just do things outside of, billable work. And I just thought, that's not the culture I want. I've got to do something about this. So I said, okay, no more productivity. We're not going to measure productivity as a KPI, but instead we are actually going to aim for 10% of your time to spend on innovation. So we measure that we're trying to get the team to spend more time on innovation. So that could be new products, new services, new ways of doing things, more efficient processes. So we did that, but then we also did an innovation challenge. So I put teams together, and we put people that didn't normally work together into teams. They all had a budget to spend money. I said, look, go and take as much time as you want, go and out, have lunch, do whatever. I don't care how much time, you take on work time to do this, but I want you to work together as a team and come up with something innovative. And we talked about what innovation was. And out of that, interesting and the fascinating thing is that all of the projects that came out of it related to increasing productivity, which was just, I thought was really, really interesting. But it was in different ways. So it was the wellness project that won was about, in Queensland, we have a wellness initiative with the state government. And so it was about getting awarded a gold level in that wellness initiative for happier and healthier workplaces. So there's a whole range of things that were implemented as part of that, from standing desks to plants in the office to smoothie crews where they, bring in fruit and put smoothies together and sort of as a team do that. They do 10:30 and 2:30 stair runs. ESB came out of it. So it's all of these things that just make it more enjoyable and supportive in the workplace for the team.
Fantastic. A couple of points there, one of which is a rabbit hole we won't go down today around the use of timesheets in a business. But everyone, keep an eye out over the next week for a blog post coming out from us that I've written called the Timesheet Paradox, because it's not about throwing timesheets out. It's about why you're measuring time. And I just like to make a distinction for everyone that productivity, the way a lot of accounting firms talk about it, really is utilization. What percentage of capacity is being billed? That's not productivity. Productivity is actual engagements, the value of the engagements being delivered. But you guys still track your time though, don't you? So you can see where it's being invested.
Yeah, I'm very adamant about doing timesheets, and because it is, for us, it's a measure of understanding if we're billing properly on projects, which we do work a lot on fixed fees in our practice, but also just analysing how time's being spent. So it's even just helping us to improve processes in the practice. If we see that a process is inefficient or taking too long, then we drill down into that and say, how can we do this better? Is there technology we can use to speed it up, or what's happening here? So, and encouraging people to spend time on that innovation. So it's interesting because we're effectively targeting non-productive time, in that innovation target.
Yeah, but, non-productive. You got to love that term within the accounting.
That's right. In a traditional practice, you consider that's non-productive, but for us, it's such an important measure to try and continually get innovation on the agenda for all the teams and give them permission to actually think outside the square.
Brilliant. We'll move on from that, but just a quick couple of things. We describe what we do. If you're new, everyone listening, if you're new to what Practice Paradox does, we describe ourselves as marketing for accountants, digital marketing for accountants. But really, it's marketing and innovation for accountants. But we just keep our messaging simple. We love technology and the smart use of it. And can I just see a quick show of hands by clicking the raise hand button in the interface? It's in the top left-hand corner. Who's within their business is using a tool like Slack or HipChat? There's a number in that space for instant messaging and communicating with each other internally outside of email. Be interested to see who's using tools like this, because we used to use HipChat, we now use Slack ourselves. And Esby is just one little bell and whistle, a very clever one, that you guys have kind of extended the functionality of Slack. But that type of collaboration is crucial. I wrote a blog post for Sholto McPherson's blog. It used to be called Box Free IT. It's now called Digital First. I wrote the blog about 3 or 4 years ago about the death of email as a tool for supporting and communicating your clients. I got flamed at the time by people going, go skipping off through the meadows, you hippie. And I could just see this collaborative space was coming, and I could highly recommend everyone, if you're not using a tool like Slack, check it out. What Slack, outside of Esby, what Slack helped you guys do in terms of how you communicate differently internally?
Can I answer that, Tanya?
Oh, but I want to.
What it's done for staff, it means that so Tanya doesn't do email, full stop. If we want to communicate with her, we talk to her through Slack, and it means that we get a response. So there's no, there's nothing holding us back anymore. Well, we're not waiting for Tanya to respond to an email, because you shoot it through on Slack, bam, great, it's fabulous.
So it's eliminated internal email and improved responsiveness internally, because your own messages are not competing amongst the whole melee of someone's busy inbox.
Yeah. I found that I wasn't very good at getting back to team members when they were sending me emails, and it was in amongst all the other information coming through. You would miss important things, and to me, it meant that it was a really bad look for me, because I wasn't then prioritising my own team's communication, and I wanted to. So I wanted them to know that they rated #1 in terms of my communication. And so I needed a tool to say, that I could quickly communicate, that I could stay in the loop with what's going on. Slack was an amazing thing, because it was one of these tools that I started with a few people in the practice to go, I found this little thing that looks interesting, let's just try it. And a few people heard about it, and we invited them in, and then it grew organically. We did no training, we set no rules. It just organically grew within the practice, and it really is such a critical part of our communication. I use it with my clients. So I work in consulting with client groups, and so for every group that I work with, we create a Slack group. So it means my whole communication is virtually on Slack. I would check emails once a month if I'm lucky.
Brilliant. I love that contrarian view, and that is the modern approach. We could talk about the collaborative communication space around project management, task management all day, but we won't for now. I'd like to do a quick poll to get an idea of who's who in the room, because we have a really diverse group today with people from all around the world. So how effective, I'd like you to move your mouse or use your trackpad, everyone, and just click on which is the most appropriate answer to how effective do you think your marketing is. Not anyone else's judgment, but your marketing. So the options are very effective, we're smashing it, quite effective, happy with the results we're getting, marginally effective, could be better though, not effective, totally ineffective, not sure, or non-existent. We're really not doing any marketing. So I'd like everyone to vote on that. And I can see how many of you have voted, and I know who hasn't voted, and we know where you live. So we've got to keep going. And I'll share the results, and we'll just see. I'll just click end poll and share the results. Let's see. Most of you, 41% have said marginally effective, could be better. The second response is non-existent, and then 22%. Wow. So most of you are not smashing it. Now, I've got a couple of things to say about marketing, apart from the fact I love it. One of my favorite quotes of all time, Peter Drucker, the grandfather of management education, he said, because the purpose of the business enterprise is to create a customer, a business has only two functions, marketing and innovation. These produce results. Everything else is a cost. So today, what are we talking about? Marketing and innovation. My definition of marketing is just the communication of value. My definition of innovation is just being smart in delivering it. So if your marketing isn't happening, it's non-existent, or you're not sure, it's time to change that. We'll talk later about how we can guide you in doing that, because it's time to up the ante on that. All right, we'll have another poll a bit later on. Let me just close that for me now. Cool. Righty. Thanks everyone for participating in that. Now, everyone will be taking screenshots now. Have you noticed when you're at a conference now and a really good slide's on, everyone gets up their smartphone or tablet. Well, I want that. This is one of those moments, everyone. I'm not going to steal anyone's thunder here, but I will just preface it. Let's recap. When Consolid8 came to us a year ago now, they were doing a lot of marketing, but there were some missing links where they weren't getting the traction that they knew was possible. Now, with marketing strategy, you need to clarify three things. Who am I targeting specifically? And warning everyone, small business or businesses with X million dollars who take advice and pay their bills well doesn't count. So very specific audience, very specific positioning in mind. So that means how you want to be perceived. Who are you to them? And then, right, messaging. And part of that, we covered this in the first masterclass, Rebecca, that you attended. We touched on that in the marketing automation masterclass, and then we revisited again from a different angle in the blogging masterclass. But over to you, Rebecca. Tell the story of your buyer personas, where it's come from and the difference it's making.
Yeah. I felt like I was really, we were doing a great job with marketing, but it was never really crystal clear who we were targeting. And that was the biggest takeaway from that first masterclass. And that was late last year. And I remember coming into this room and whiteboarding up there, like, who are our niche markets? Now, I've worked with Tanya for quite some years, and I know that she's a very visual person, as am I. And this is where our amazing graphic designer, Samara, is worth her weight in gold. So we kind of brainstormed all of these ideas and then put this down in a visual kind of format and presented it to Tanya. But instead of just going, oh, so we target women in business, we gave these people a persona. We gave them a name, Digital Dave, Savvy Sally, Professional Pete, Multi Mike. And then we looked at their pain points, their aspirations, and and kind of gave them a bit of a definition of what. And we knew that the Digital Dave is, you're probably male, hence Dave, etc. And so a little bit like the way Tanya operates, she lets us go. We come to her and I go, I'm working on what are we calling the buyer personas. And what do you think? And actually at that point we only had 3. And so then we took the concept to our management team and we added a 4th, the multi-mic. But this has really crystallized our marketing strategy and our blog topics, everything. That's everything. From the point now when a new lead comes into the business, so I'm often the first port of call, I now refer to them as, this is the Digital Dave lead, and we then know who the right person is in the organisation to move forward with talking to them about how we can provide a solution. So this is really potentially the biggest thing that's changed in our marketing, is having, not just crystallising it and knowing who we're talking to, but having this visual, which is up in the office and is now starting to filter through our conversations about clients and new business leads.
So what does this mean, Rebecca, having this clarity on these different buyer personas? Another term, everyone, that this is sometimes referred to these days as avatars, means the same thing. It's an imaginary person who's your ideal client, how they think, who they are. So you can see their demographics around gender, if there is a gender bias, age bracket, if they're a business, how many employees, revenue size, as Rebecca said earlier, pain points and aspirations. So, Rebecca, how does this affect you guys when you sit down, for example, you're prolific bloggers now, very strategic. How does this come into play when you're thinking, what should we write about?
Well, you sit down there and you think, so what does Savvy Sally want to know? What's her biggest problem? What's holding her back? What's keeping her awake at night? And that's what we write a blog about. And we are specifically writing for Savvy Sally. What does Multimind, we know exactly what Multimind wants to hear, what service they want from us. And we're starting to, and I have a mantra which has come from a masterclass, in terms of blogging, to stop promoting and start educating. So the blogs now are not selling. Well, subliminally they're selling, but it's all about educating and positioning ourselves, not just as thought leaders, but experts in this space. So we know where these people hang out. We know what they're thinking about. We really know what's stressing them out. And we're providing a solution to that.
There's some
we talk about it, right? We talk about it with the team. So, you know, in our Friday morning catch-ups, you know, we will refer to these. So it's our whole culture is immersed in, you know, these buyer personas. So the team know it, you know, and it's really great from my point of view. So I like to write the blogs. And, you know, Rebecca also, sometimes if I don't have time, I'll verbalize them and Rebecca will write them down. And more and more we're doing videos too. Yeah, so it is really easy to write a blog when you know who your audience is. Whereas if before this, if I wrote a blog, it was a bit too, you know, I tended to go down a path because I know who my ideal client is that I like to deal with, but it was very hard to sort of write for some of the other areas of the business. So they just tended to be a bit generic, and then the language didn't really appeal to anyone. So you know, when we're writing for a specific persona, the language is different depending on what we're writing for. And that makes a big difference, I think, to, you know, when people are reading them, you're actually attracting the right people.
I would say it makes a difference between day and night for effective content. That's a difference between someone starting to read an article and thinking this is a bit bland and general and then clicking off to thinking, have they been watching me? They are talking to me. They're describing me. And that's the style of content you guys are now producing.
Yeah.
Rebecca, you wanted to add something there?
Well, it's just as an example, we ran a campaign about business valuations and the importance of doing a business valuation and how you value a business from a professional services point of view to a digital e-commerce is actually completely different. So a digital Dave reading a blog about how you value a professional services business, it's just not even relevant. Totally.
Yes.
Doesn't relate. So yeah, it just gives us this power to really customize the message.
And some quick marketing tips around writing good content for everyone. Very quick takeaway. When you write, imagine you are speaking, not writing, speaking to one person, not a group, one person. So you use the pronouns like you and your. You don't use plural, no all-yals. Like you can't speak to a group because it's not effective. It's not influential. And there was a point earlier, Rebecca, you made about that we taught you around stop being promotional with your blog posts, your website content, start being educational. There's 3 levels of communication. The base level is to convey, and some people can't even do that. Convey just means the other person understands. The next level up is persuade, which means the person complies, might agree, but they consciously know they have been persuaded, which increases the chances later on they'll think, I'm not sure if I did the right thing. The third level of communication is influence, and influence happens at the subconscious level. People don't know what's happening, but it's entirely ethical. You could use it unethically if you wanted, but it's basically just together educating people with shared values that you attract to them with your content in the first place. So this is how it all comes together. Now, if you're thinking, gee, I wonder if Paradox can give me a template for our buyer personas. There's a lot of cookie cutter consultants and coaches out there where they'll send the same stuff out to all their subscribers at the same time each month. Wow, there's a recipe for being mediocre and vanilla. What we prefer to do is to facilitate out of you your own authentic self, to borrow a phrase. So we facilitate it. So when you come to our marketing masterclasses, we've got frameworks to get you thinking to draw this out of you. Now let's move on now to the whole idea of content's one thing, but what is it doing for my business commercially? And I'll tell you right now, everyone, what great content does is it attracts to your website people who are bang on in your target market, who are not shopping around. So it's not people who are clicking on ads or might be like Googling accountant and suburb, because those people are shopping. They're more shopping for solutions and answers to problems. They're researching, and price, therefore, is less of an issue. So the goal of your content is to attract targeted traffic to your website. We won't even talk about conversion yet, but let's talk about traffic. Rebecca, what's been your experience with SEO generally, and then what we've been doing with you in recent months?
Yeah,
and
okay.
By the way, just explain to everyone how it works. Like, a lot of people might go, SEO just sounds techie. What the hell is it?
Yeah. Well, it is a bit techie, but it's search engine optimization. So it's actually bringing people to your site. So you can see from this screen that you've just shared, and this is the metrics for the Consolid8 website. The number of people that have found our website through Google is 99.9%. So it's what are people putting into Google to find your website? And there's a lot of stuff that you can do behind the back end of your website to optimize it to get those people to find your website. So the first thing that I wanted to say about the power of a really well optimized and well written blog is what you're seeing now in this. By the way, this is a fantastic graph that we get from MC every month, because for the non-accountants, it visualizes the numbers. So you can see the traction on our website here, the visitors from organic traffic to our website. And there was a massive jump in the month of July, which we all went, yay, that's fantastic. But why? What did we do? And it was specifically because of a blog that we wrote, which was 10 red flags that trigger an ATO audit. And in July, it was like top of mind. That's what everybody wanted to read about. And so we got 1,000 extra people come to our website to read that blog. The next step in that process is to ensure that those people who come to your website don't just go, oh, that's really interesting, and then leave. So we put what we call a lead magnet at the end of it, at the end of that blog, which was, if you're interested or you're concerned about an ATO audit, give us your contact details and we can provide you with a quote, or we can, give you a call and talk to you about how we can help you out. So it's 2 steps there: bring people to your website, but then make sure you capture their details so that you can then put them into what we call our hopper. And then put them into our database, and then send them newsletters and continue that kind of that conversation.
And to put this into, sorry, Rebecca, you continue.
No, reflect on that, because I've got 2 things I want to say. So I've said the first.
You're good. I'll just add some context for this to everyone. Now, just to reiterate, what you're looking at here is one of the services that we provide to firms called our Marketing Metrics Dashboard. We're not into marketing for pretty pictures alone, which is what a lot of agencies and web designers, basically it's kind of where Consolid8 was before working with us. Looked great, but was it getting the results? But just to give everyone an idea here, imagine your business, your website was like a retail store, and your traffic from organic trend are the people that just happen to discover you. Organic trend means they searched for something in Google and found you. They didn't click on a link in your email signature. They didn't just type your address in, so that's called direct traffic. Nor did they come from ads for paid traffic. They found you, they discovered you. Now, we know that most accounting firms, organic monthly traffic before they come to us is about 50 to 100 people. Now, even though you had that spike of almost 2,000 visits from organic in July, in August, you had just under 1,500. So you're not getting 50 or 100, you're getting 1,500 unique visits. These are not hits, these are people. These are actual people who are visiting your website. So that's massive. So that's like water going into your bucket. And what we can then do, and we won't talk about this today, is look at how a website's converting so that you are growing your email marketing database, and you end up with basically a stream of inbound leads where they're happily coming along because they've read your last 6 blog posts. They see you as a guru. They've been attracted to you by what you're talking about, not by you chest beating and saying we're the most professional and caring. God, that stuff does my head in. So they're coming to you really receptive as it is. So Rebecca, what was your second point about the SEO?
The other thing is the power of SEO. So the first thing was, once we understood what our buyer personas were, it was about what information, what words are they putting into Google to find us? And the one that I just wanted to share was about our digital Dave and that e-commerce. So the words that we optimized for were e-commerce and accounting and online. So that we actually now rank, if you punch that into Google, just e-commerce accounting, we rank above Xero. Consolid8 ranks above Xero for those keywords. And what I'm seeing now is that probably nearly up to 50% of the leads that come from our website fall into that category of digital Dave. So it's a perfect example of how when you get the right keywords and you've got the right information on your website to back it up, and you've got the lead magnet there, it flows through to generating a new lead. It doesn't happen overnight though, and that's probably the most important takeaway from SEO. So we were doing SEO before working with Paradox, and we've now worked with you guys for for 10 months, and we were optimized, not very well, but for e-commerce like 18 months ago. So it's a slow build, but once you get there and you get ranking in the top 1, 2, or 3, it can be very, very powerful way of generating new leads and generating new business.
Yeah, I love the line that page 2 of Google is a good place to hide a dead body because nobody goes there. But even the first page of Google, if you're not in the top 3, your chances are quite slim of being clicked. On page 1 of Google, the top 3 search results get 80% of the clicks. So it's the top 3 out of 10. 80% of the clicks, and of the top 3, number 1 gets 70% of the clicks. So as a take home from this webinar, write down what are your target SEO phrases that you're targeting with your marketing. And I know for a fact, because we've got a website audit tool that people can enter their web address and can enter a phrase into the tool online. Most people got no idea about keyword strategy. So this is what you need to know, everyone. If you're not savvy on this, you're really just shooting in the dark with your marketing. It all starts with your buyer personas, your targets, your phrases. And the first thing that our SEO team, led by Aman, will do is keyword research. He will research the metrics, so the volume and the competitiveness around dozens of related phrases. And it's not always obvious. One thing you may have heard me mention is that, you know how anyone in the Xero community is really big on cloud? You know, cloud accounting software, cloud this, cloud that. And I love the cloud, don't get me wrong. But the average consumer out there doesn't search on the word cloud. 3 times as many searches are done on the word online. So if your content isn't targeting online accounting software rather than cloud accounting software, you're missing out on triple the traffic. So data-driven marketing is what we're all about. Now, we're about to go into question time. But before we do, I'd just like to do a quick poll. It's essentially feedback for us. We want to know what's next. You can sit through a webinar and, you know, there's 2 things in life I always say. There's preparation and action. Preparation is important. You know, proper preparation prevents piss poor performance, as the adage goes. But preparation on its own does nothing. You know, going to a conference or a seminar or webinar does nothing. The only thing that actually achieves something is action. And the difference between the 2 is action risks judgment and failure. You can stay in your little ivory tower preparing and reading and learning for the rest of your life, and you won't get the results. So we just want to know what action you want to know after this webinar. So there's 6 options, ranging from we need to talk, please call me. And I'll just put that on the screen now. We need to talk, please email me some times for a call. I'm already a Paradox member, but hey, we should probably do more together. Call me. So if you're only doing something like the Modern Marketing Academy, which is learning, you may well want to get stuck into some of the done-for-you services that like Consolid8 are using, like SEO implementation. So that's a 3rd option. The 4th one, no thanks, we're already a member and happy with all the services. No thanks, our marketing's already extremely effective. And nothing thanks, I don't like MC. Oh, and it's good to see I've got some family members in today. So I might just leave that up actually so everyone can vote on that. So we're not going to contact anyone who doesn't want us to. So let's now go to question time. Rebecca, you've asked one that we'll get to, and there were a couple of questions from Wayne and Chris that came through in the lead up to the webinar. So we'll roll into that now. So Wayne James from Next Accounting. I love that name, Wayne. Paradox came up with that for them. They've just had their first year in business. Brilliant. Wayne asks, how do you market yourself to a broader audience? MYOB and Intuit Intuit users, even though you're such great promoters and supporters of Xero? I know some firms are 100% Xero, but I see from your website you support other programs.
Yeah, look, and I guess so we know the other software really well. For many years, I was very staunchly MYOB, and I know the systems. So we do get inquiries. We do have it on our website. We'll get people coming to us who might be on those platforms, and we'll do an assessment of what they're doing, and if we think that there's a benefit to them changing to Xero, then that's what we're going to recommend. So quite often we do get approaches from businesses who are using MYOB or using other products. When they come to us, we look at their business, we look at how they're doing things, and more often than not, it results in a conversion to Xero.
Right, okay. So on your website, do you make mention of MYOB and QuickBooks, the other products?
Yeah,
well?
and if someone is on a different platform, sometimes there's specific reasons for them being on that. So we don't force clients across to Xero if we don't think that there's a reason for them, or if there's a reason that they have to stay with a particular platform, we're not going to not work with them because of that. But more often than not, we find that we'll start working with them, and because we're so cloud-based and we're quite innovative in a lot of our solutions, somewhere down the track we find that they'll ask the question, tell me a bit more about this Xero. So we don't limit, I guess, our leads to just people who are currently on Xero, because there's if we open that net and people come to us, from different platforms, then, there's some services that we may not be able to provide to them now if they're not on Xero. But if they are on a different platform and they want us to do some work with them, which might be consulting or it might be some tax work, then, we'll work with them. And somewhere down the track along their journey of working with us, we'll have a conversation about, perhaps you should be looking at some different solutions.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for that answer. Just a couple of things on that. From a SEO and keyword perspective, and even a social media perspective, I know one of the, we've produced, by the way, if you're new to Paradox, we've produced many dozens of Xero Gold partners around the world who we've helped with their marketing, and many Xero Partners of the Year. And one of those, the first graduate of our Modern Marketing Academy, which is our online program, Rebecca, Steph Hines from GrowthWise, she monitors Twitter, maybe less so these days, but she was an early user of Twitter as we were. And she monitored Twitter for mentions of MYOB because, apologies to MYOB, 9 times out of 10, they weren't positive things. People going, bloody this, damn that. And she was actually reaching out and helping people that were having issues and go, hey, have you looked at, this is before MYOB even had a cloud offering. So even with your SEO on your website, you could target phrases. You could do keyword research. When someone searches on MYOB or QuickBooks, what else are they searching on? And you can build a landing page, SEO'd, to rank really well in Google for that, and bring in, the pros and cons of MYOB versus Xero. There's just an endless array of strategic content that you can do to generate targeted leads. So thanks for answering that, Tanya. I'm keeping an eye on the webcams, Rebecca, so if you want to chime in with anything, just raise your hand. Now, Chris Eccles of Team Accountants asks, what was Consolid8's vision when they first started, and have they achieved it, or are they achieving it? That's his first of 3 questions.
It's a big one. Yeah, look, I actually, so 8 years ago, we started Consolid8, and for me, starting it off, I started with 1 staff member and a small fee base. So we've grown a fair bit over the last 8 years. And from the start, I wanted to create this workplace where there was amazing flexibility, and, we have the childcare, and we have this great culture, and we provide services which surround our clients, and they see us as a holistic advisor. So we can, we're the first port of call. It goes beyond, I guess, the trusted advisor in our minds, that we provide all of the services around the clients and help them on their journeys in business. And have we achieved that? Actually, this year, I feel like it's really come together, and we've got this amazing, incredible team, great culture. Our growth is going great, and yeah, I think our services are really spot on for where I wanted to get to when I first started. The practice started off on a platform was built on management accounting. So 15 years ago, back in my previous firm, My client base was primarily management accounting, and that's what it was built on. That's allowed us to get into this space of, financial education. So we do a lot of work with clients in understanding the numbers. And yeah, it's, I feel like it's really got to a point that we've achieved that initial vision that I wanted to achieve with the practice. So it's now, we're now in stage 2 of where to from here.
Okay. And Chris's little follow-on question was, what's been the biggest challenges in dealing with the growth? Oh, by the way, before you answer that, Rebecca, I've just stopped sharing the screen, everyone. Zoom has this really cool feature. In the top right-hand corner, you can kind of like toggle between gallery view and speaker view, which is kind of like Brady Bunch. But over to you, Rebecca, to answer, Tanya, to answer that one. How have you handled growth?
So the biggest challenge has probably been, going from 1 staff member to 20 and, I have a really, close relationship with the team in terms of being accessible and being a part of it. So as we grew, that was really challenging to be able to give, that same attention to all of the team members. So that was really challenging for us. And I guess Slack has been a great part at team meetings. We've had to put strategies in place so that the team still feel the love. And, but I'm not actually having to have one-to-one meetings with every team member. Bringing in that layer, that management team has been amazing. And, and also a big thing that's helped me is understanding my strengths. So knowing what I'm great at and knowing what I'm really not good at. And I've got amazing people around me that fill all the gaps.
Okay, that's a great response. And Rebecca has asked a question live today, and you've just alluded to that. How did Tanya find all the time to do this? Being a sole operator with a single employee, I struggle to find the time to actually make a move or research marketing for my practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've got 4 young children as well. So it's, I know some days it feels like I'm trying to fit 48 hours into every day, but it's leverage. So right from the start, I use technology or great people to leverage myself. And I've never been scared of investing in great people on the team. For instance, Rebecca started with us a number of years ago. Her background was in fashion, so nothing to do with accounting. So we had to go through a whole education process of understanding what we do, and that's been a number of years of investment before it's actually started to pay back. But we're really, I'm very committed to investing in great people and, building that team, because if you have that longer term view and you can invest in, the team and excess capacity, then, you get to a point where it all just falls into place.
And to build on that answer there, Tanya, for Rebecca, is you need to leverage. And the ways that you can leverage, there's about 13 ways you can leverage yourself. And that includes building a team, includes eliminating processes that don't add value. It includes automating processes that do add value, but humans don't have to do it. So, eliminate, automate, delegate. There's a whole range in addition to those 3. So that's really your only choice, because if you're doing it all yourself and selling time for money one-on-one, you're just going to keep repeating the same year after year after year.
And understanding what your best value for the practice is. And, I've made plenty of mistakes along the way. Happy to share all of those, because, it's a great journey. And every one of those mistakes, though, it just really, you take it and you go, okay, what can I learn from that? How am I going to improve this in the future? And that helps my clients, because it's the journey that I share with them as well. But, when you understand what you're really great at, then you can put people around you that make you look amazing, like Rebecca makes me look amazing. It is really, it makes it so easy. So I can just focus on the stuff that I love. I've got the best job in the world, because I just have to have great conversations with clients. I just, am constantly evolving and growing the team. And, that's my happy place. If I had to do a tax return, I would fail dismally.
There's some great take-homes. And for everyone here, we're going for another 5 minutes, and there's going to be a few really great Q&A still to come. On that thing about know your strengths, I ran into a client of mine one day. I was speaking at a conference in Darling Harbour in Sydney on how to use webinars in your marketing. This is 6 or 7 years ago. And I ran into this guy. His name's Phil. And at the time, I found out that his business was doing about $70 million revenue. He was headed towards a listing on the Australian Stock Exchange. And when I worked with him in the past, he was about 30 million, and he had a partner, and his business had gone on and the other one hadn't. And I said, what do you think the difference is between you, Phil, and your ex-partner who shall remain unnamed? He said, I know my weaknesses. So he didn't say I know my strengths. He said, I know my weaknesses and I built my entire organization around what I'm not good at or I just know I shouldn't be doing. And I just surround myself with people who are better than I am in so many areas. And I thought, well, that's profound, because you might think, oh, work on your weaknesses. No. Forget about your weaknesses, hire for those, and then just build and leverage your strengths.
Yeah.
Now, a couple of questions relating. Rebecca's asked, are your marketing masterclasses available online? They are, and that's called the Modern Marketing Academy. So we've had plenty of stellar firms go through that. One thing that I would say, if you're enjoying this conversation right now and you're not in the academy, or you are in the academy and you haven't been attending, each month we do a roundtable discussion that's called Ask an Expert. And we've been getting brilliant feedback from people where we have really in-depth conversations about everything that relates to marketing and innovation for accountants and business advisors. And we do that each month for members only. It is part of the Modern Marketing Academy. But by the time you do, say, our blog article service and our SEO implementation service, you get access to the academy with our compliments, as I mentioned earlier, anyway. So yes, they online, and Elizabeth wants to know when the next masterclass is. It's going to be in late November. We'll announce a date on Monday morning, so check your email inbox for Monday morning. The masterclass will allow you to get your strategy, your framework, your value proposition, your marketing plan, your content plan in place for the coming year. And we're structuring it in a way where you'll be able to come to that each year to go, all right, let's absolutely get ahead of the game for the coming calendar year. So it's not like a slide fest and a data dump, though each year we share the very latest in marketing. We give you a framework where you can just keep stepping up to the next level. So late November, but Elizabeth, look out to your inbox on Monday. Okay, last question from Chris was, are clients, unrelated, are clients utilizing the Zendesk help desk or still emailing through queries? And to clarify for everyone, Zendesk is like a help desk piece of software that often software companies use, but small businesses are starting to use tools like these. I have a very strong opinion on them. What do you guys use in that area for support?
Yeah, one of our divisions does use Zendesk. We were previously on Freshdesk and we use Zendesk. I've had this, I guess, vision of, can we use it across all of our team and sort of have it in the tax team as well. That's probably... that's gone a little bit now to the side, because I guess looking at the way I'm using Slack with my clients, Zendesk wouldn't work in that sort of area of consulting. In specific type services, I think it has a place. So, in our management accounting team, for example, where there's lots of queries, lots of information flowing through, really quick turnaround, that really helps to keep it, in one central place. But there's it's a bit of a watch this space, because there's lots of products evolving in this space now. And so we're sort of sitting back looking at, let's just see what the technology is doing before we go and implement this across the firm. Because my view is, Zendesk was evolved or built for really the IT industry.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll find something pretty specific that will, do a better job in our industry. So it's a bit of a watch this space as some of those solutions are evolving at the moment.
Well, on that, I'll let everyone know a couple of apps right now in this area and where things are going with that. I know some firms like Inspire CA who are really smashing it in their marketing right now, Ben Walker and Harvey Penne, who are both graduates of our Modern Marketing Academy, some more superstars. They use Zendesk and they love it. My personal opinion is Zendesk is not the right fit for most accounting firms because of the way that emails are presented to the recipients. I think your clients deserve an email that's a bit more personal than, please reply above the line and you are ticket number 67341. You're not an airline. You're not a council department. I think you need to be more personal than that. Now, the innovation that's happening in this space, the firm called Practice IQ that renamed themselves to Carbon with a K, they're moving into this collaborative inbox area. And that's what I wrote about on Digital First 4 years ago that I mentioned earlier. You need to have a collaborative inbox. You can't have email silos. So I definitely recommend you use these tools, but tools that for the recipient still look like a normal email to them. But behind the scenes, you can see whether you're responding, what your response times are, how many open tickets there are, and things aren't buried in people's individual inboxes. Other tools in this space are Help Scout. It's a really cool tool. We used to use it, but we got rid of it because we use Google Apps. And if anyone uses Google Apps, the tool I'd recommend in this space is called, used to be called Grexit. It's now called Hiver, Hiver, like beehive with an R on the end, Hiver. And it allows you to have a shared collaborative inbox. So that's the future of email, as well as instant messaging. So thanks for that question, Chris. Now, some content-related ones from Murray from across the ditch. G'day, Murray. Good to see you online. So Murray over in Auckland, New Zealand. Murray's asked a couple of questions. How many times do you recommend you post blog posts per month? Plus, Murray has a question around SEO for a new website that I'll touch on. What about you guys? Rebecca, what do you think about frequency of blogging?
Yeah, I don't think that you can say, well, you can, maybe if you work that way, I must write 2 blogs every month. The way that we've approached it is, going back to our buyer personas, there's a big cardboard cutout of them on the wall. And if I read something or any other member of the team reads something, we grab a sticky note and whack it up around Savvy Sally's head. Like, here's an idea that might actually work, a topic, blog topic conversation that Savvy Sally might be interested in. And then, because creativity can't be rushed. Can it, Tanya? I can't sit you down and say, write a blog this afternoon, because it just doesn't work like that. You have to find yourself in a space where you want to make that comment, or you want to be a bit controversial, you want some time to think about it. Sometimes it happens really fast because I've just seen this thing and this is like, Pokemon Go, we've got to make a comment about this right now. So we've got a whole smorgasbord of topics. And then when you find yourself in the right space, and that's probably the hardest part, then I can smash out 12.
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
exactly.
I've got a whole year's worth of content.
Yeah, you can't sit down cold, can you, with no idea what you're going to write about and stare at a keyboard blank screen. You've got to have this kind of inventory of half-formed ideas that when it comes time to sit down, you're in the right place and the right time, because you need what's called slow thinking. There's a great book called that. You can't rush plenty of good things in life, one of which is creativity, as you mentioned, Rebecca. So what do you find, Tanya, when you're doing the drafts of your blog posts?
Yeah, look, I need to be in the right headspace. Sometimes for me, it's much easier just to talk it. And we do a combination of video now and actually finding the right way to do video. So for me, it's not about put me in front of a camera and I'm going to reel off, a whole spiel. I actually find it much easier to talk to Rebecca, and we'll smash out 10 blogs in one go. Awesome. Just by having a conversation, and we don't double take it. We just put the camera on, and Rebecca and I have a conversation in front of the camera, and it's just golden. And it's like, wow, this is so easy. So for us, that was a big breakthrough, because it's like, trying to sit in front of a camera and remember what I'm supposed to say and what's my key messages, but just actually have a conversation with me and I'll smash it out. So finding the right way to get your info. I think it's different for everyone. So that worked for me. Sometimes it's about, Rebecca will say, look, I need a blog. This is the topic. So she'll come into my office and she won't leave until I actually reel off all the main points, and then she'll go and take that away, put it into a blog. Other times I find when I'm on planes is a great time, to sort of smash out a blog. So I take my laptop and I'll get that thinking time to sort of do things. So it's a little bit random, but with our content that goes out, so we use your content, out in our blogs as sort of, pre-done every month, but we top it up with our own content. So, we've got this consistent content going out, but then we've got the personalized stuff that is also going out, which is written and in our tone and our voice. And that really works for us. And that's been a big improvement, because now we've got constant content. Whereas before, if we were waiting on me to come up with a blog, they were a bit sporadic. It was one this month and then I might not get onto it, and there'll be 2 the next. So I think what's helped is having that constant stream of content going out.
I think I can hear people around the world on this webinar going, amen, brother, saying, yes, it's so hard to get content out of the partners if you're trying to make blogging happen. And Tanya, at the blogging masterclass that you and Rebecca came to, and to share with everyone, we ran through a leveraged content creation formula, which is basically how you can take a piece of video and or a piece of audio and turn that into multiple pieces of content. But the person that actually speaks on the video or audio, their job is done when stop is pressed and they move on with your day, as Tanya does. So back to Rebecca's question earlier, how do you get all this done? I remember we taught Timothy Munro from Change Accountants who was last year's Xero Accounting Partner of the Year in Australia, who's been through our academy. We did all the branding and marketing for them. And he's a one-take wonder too, like you, Tanya. He can just go, okay, this is what's happening in the stock market. Might get you thinking about this. And Harvey Penne, who's now at Inspire, he was at Change GPS back then. We got them set up with the right hardware, the right software, the right tripods, and all of that techie stuff. And Harvey would just video Tim and go, Tim, you're going to talk about this and this. Tim would go, all right, where's a good backdrop? Oh, yeah, reception looks good. And just go, blah, blah, speak for 30 seconds and run out the door. And the next thing from that is produced a blog post, an email newsletter based on the blog post, the video embedded in the blog post, social media content promoting the blog post, and you've got all of these things, emails, social media messages, all sending targeted traffic back to your site. Now, Murray might be sitting there going, you Aussies, you just didn't answer my question. I'm going to just, Murray, go, to give you like a simplified answer on that, if you're blogging once a month, you've barely walked up to the start line. I think you've got to be blogging a couple of times a month at least. If you can do weekly, awesome. But, you know, if you think about it, not everyone's going to see every blog post you do. So if you do one a month, in 6 months' time, you've done 6. Someone might have seen 2 or 3 of them. But if you've done 2 a month, 6 months' time, you've done a dozen. There's a good chance they may have seen a number of those. And that influence effect will start to happen where they'll start to see you as an authority and a thought leader, as is often said these days. But basically, it's fancy talk for you teaching them, you're leading them, you're showing them a better place that they can grow. But 2 or more a month is my short answer to that. Now, lastly, we have gone over time, and I appreciate Tanya and Rebecca's time. We often get asked a question when people get a brand new website. Earlier, Rebecca, you mentioned, you know, it's a slow build, the SEO aspect, and you'd had a site that had a domain age of years. So when a domain's brand new as well, that's another thing. The longer your domain has been around, the more Google takes it seriously. But the analogy I use, when you get a website done, the website designer and the website copywriters, they will do a base level of SEO, but they won't fully SEO it anywhere near what an SEO implementation team will do. And the analogy is, let's say you bought a brand new house on a new estate. It might have the landscaping done, but how well established is the garden? You know, it'll have the lawn or the turf or the front garden or whatever, and it's there, but it doesn't look much. It needs to be watered and tended to, and 6, 12 months, 2 years' time, then it'll be looking really good. Now, if you think, but why don't they do all the SEO as much as possible when they build the site? One answer to that is they would have charged you 3 times as much for the website, because SEO is different people, different work, lots of labor. They do things on your website. It's called on-page SEO. And they also do what's called off-page SEO, which is getting you listed in credible business directories, things like making sure you show up in Google Places, the location listings at the top. We had someone the other day go, oh, Paradox. So they're in the academy. They're asking a question in a webinar, and they said, we're not showing up in the listings at the top of the search results. What's going on? Because they were doing a lot of things right. We worked out that they only had 3 reviews in Google, and the magic number at the moment is 4. You get 4 reviews in Google, and bam, if the rest of your SEO is good, you're even above the basic search results. You're in that search results next to the map. So you've got to be patient and serious and committed to SEO. Lastly, let's wrap up before I thank everyone. Rebecca's asked, do you have to be at a certain stage in our plans? Now, we've helped, like Consolid8, you guys were rolling, already succeeding, but now you're succeeding even more. So that's one type of firm we can help. But when GrowthWise came to us, they were a brand new firm, brand new. They've been going a little while, but everything since then's changed. We've helped a lot of startups where they haven't had a name or a logo or a website or anything. So we can help anyone from, hey, I've got an idea and I'm thinking of starting an accounting firm. And yesterday I had a conversation with someone out of Florida who's a 4-time Olympian going to the White House next week, blowing my mind, this woman. And she's starting, she's just finishing her CPA, and she's going to start a firm early next year. And she's talking to us now. So that's pre-startup. And we've even helped firms that are offices of Big 4. So all the way along that spectrum. So everyone, thank so much. I really appreciate, Tanya and Rebecca, your time and your generous giving. A lot of people, I reckon, wouldn't have shared some of the stuff you shared today, like the buyer personas. You obviously believe in karma.
Yeah. Look, I think, you know, it's one of those things, we share that quite a lot with our clients and, you know, with a lot of people, but it's, you know, it doesn't really mean anything to anyone else. It's an example, but, you know, to get it right, you've got to build it yourself.
Absolutely. So thanks for your time today and in conversations in the lead up. Congratulations again for your stellar. You are an inspiration. You know, you had a goal, you picked up the phone, you took action a year ago, and then you and your team have taken consistent action since.
10 months, save in 10 months.
Yeah, so, you've just gone bam. So congratulations on your focus. And thanks everyone today who's still with us, which is most of you, even though we've gone 16 minutes over time. Have a fantastic rest of your Friday and weekend, and I look forward to speaking to many of you soon. Bye for now. Thanks, Tanya. Thanks, Rebecca. Bye for now.